Witam serdecznie.
Hello, my name is Mady, and I will spend the next 45 minutes with you. The subjects that I'm going to discuss is building your image on the internet, digital competencies, and personal branding. Let me start by presenting myself, Mady. I started in 2005. Initially, I worked in marketing and sales. And then in 2017, I started working as an HR expert, an internal corporate expert. And I was handling recruitment, onboarding, offboarding, and rebranding, as well as organizing different kinds of training. As of 2020, I'm strictly working in career advisory. I work for Career Angels, and together with my colleagues, I support experienced managers, executive managers all over Europe in search for jobs and in planning their career path. What is interesting about my work is that as of January 2020, we supported more than 10,000 people, and we are not a training company per se, but we were able to reach more than 14,000 people with our seminars or training sessions or via our marketing on LinkedIn. I'm now in course of certification. The tool is called Decision Dynamics, and I'm a lecturer at Koźmiński University in postgraduate program Career Advisory. Now, to warm you up, I know you've been here for several hours, so I want to release some tension. And I would like you to use your smartphones. And let's start by Googling your name. And I encourage you to take part in this activity. Please enter your first and last name in your Google engine. Or you can also make a combination with brackets or in quotation marks, or you can also add your phone number, your email address, or your company name. We'll not have time to practice all the options, but it's good to repeat this exercise, this activity every once in a while. And why do we do that? It's because we create our own image and on the net, on the internet. And the way I want you to experience for yourself what others searching your name find, and what are the first searches. Did you find your name, or did you find anything unexpected? We have time for you to share. So many volunteers. I'm a teacher. When I start classes, my students always tell me, we know something about you. And I know that when students sign up for a specific class, we meet in September, but actually students meet during holidays, and they usually have a group, and everybody knows one another by doing their Google searches. Have any of you found anything interesting about yourself? A few years ago, when I searched my name on the internet, I'm still surprised that I have so many sites. I'm not sure who developed or who created my sites and when. I'm still puzzled. Well, it's good to make your own image audit. We, as career advisors, as professional consultants, we need to form an example of how your image on the web should be created, and we are an example for our students. And I really encourage you to perform such audit occasionally, and you should also save the links which are displayed. Remember that the way people perceive you influences your image, and For instance, I had such experience when I paid a lot of attention to updating my LinkedIn profile, but I completely forgot my Golden Line profile, which was absolutely out of date. And please remember about refreshing your profiles, because some people may tag you, and then your unwanted image may be used. So you should take advantage, and you should take control of your own image on the web. So whenever you find something that you don't want to be searched for, you can control that. You can manage that. For instance, sometimes you can write an article as an expert, and then information from the old times can be reduced to further searches, further findings. It's important for you to remember about such impressions, and please perform such audits, such exercise every once in a while. The reason we did that is to discuss the concept of building your image on the internet. We live in times when the labor market is very competitive. The competition is quite fierce. So being aware of building your own image and performing personal branding online is important. It's important because we as counselors, as professional advisors, influence the image of our students, our candidates on the labor market. So what I deal with is a situation where my clients usually suffer from a multiple personality syndrome. For instance, when we enter their name, it turns out this is a person of various personalities. They have different forms of presenting themselves on the internet, on social media, and that creates a distorted perception of such person, which is not, which does not reflect the competencies of a given individual. And when we shape our own image as advisors, we should also take care of our recipients, our clients. We need them to know what kind of problems we can help them solve and how we can help them. For instance, that we provide assistance with writing a CV, or we provide other forms of services. So what is presence on the internet about? It's a total of all our activities on social media, or our expert articles, so the content that we share, or perhaps we take part in certain conferences, or we post content on internet, or sometimes we comment, or sometimes we are tagged. So our image is a total of our activities, including email correspondence. So everything affects the image, the perception of our personality on the internet. So what we should pay attention to, whether we like it or not, is that our activities, which are not always properly managed, affect the general perception of us as a person. And we can definitely control that. Some time ago, at the company that I work for, we were thinking what actually influences our personal brand. What are the areas that shape our personal branding and shape how we develop our personal brand? And definitely our internet presence is one of the key factors, key areas. We also detailed such areas as competencies, strategy, reputation, or written communication, or a general area which is savoir-vivre, whether we respond to emails, whether we thank for meetings, also our contacts and our outreach and public appearances, such as this one. But another public appearance is even online meetings, webinars, lives. These are also meetings in a company. So whenever we speak out, it's always a public appearance, and that affects how we develop our personal brand. So all these areas that I mentioned were used to create a model or a tool that I would strongly encourage you to work with. Also, in reference to your own brand, because I'd like you to approach this meeting as a workshop. So when we talk about competencies, these are 8 different areas, and we divided a scale from 0 to 5 in order to create a tool that will help us manage developing a personal brand for you, but also for your candidates, your students, your clients. So what do we see? Let's have a look at some examples. For instance, in case of strategy, should a career advisor, should he or she have a short-term or long-term strategy, or perhaps no strategy at all? And that tool can be used for asking ourselves a question and responding where we are today on the scale of 0 to 5. For instance, we can say that a career advisor, career consultant should have at least a short-term strategy. Or for instance, our presence on the web, should we have a high or local results when somebody is looking for our name. So you, as career advisors, you can analyze all the different areas and see where you are today, but also where you want to be, let's say, in a specific period of time, because the world has changed enormously, and everything has been digitalized, and we need to catch up with the changes. We need to equip people who enter the labor market with a range of competencies that we actually test on ourselves first. So as you can see on this slide, it can happen that, for instance, in case of written communication, we believe we are professional now, and we want to stay professional. So this is a consistent area, but there are other areas which you can see where we have some room for improvement. And taking into account the areas with room for improvement, it would be good to use the tool to plan a strategy, to make a development plan for ourselves. For instance, the subject of today is digital competencies. So what actions can I take in order to reach a moment when I will be consciously managing my personal brand? For instance, your contact network, or for instance, I need to develop my contact network because it's very local. Or maybe do I need outsiders to join my contact network, depending on the sector. Another area to consider is reputation. Am I well known? Is my reputation limited to my own company, or is my reputation ranging throughout the sector that I work in, or is it local? So each of the areas may be developed into an action plan. So let's deal with one of the areas, which is public appearance. How can we be perceived as experts? Well, we can work with a voice coach. We can speak at different meetings. We can engage in organizing different kinds of training where we can share knowledge. We can actually make some recordings. We can organize a live to reach certain audiences, reach our recipients. Another area is web presence. So, for instance, we can start with LinkedIn. It's one of the portals that are intended for professional users, very well positioned. So when you enter your first and last name. If you have a LinkedIn account, it's probably positioned in the first 3 results. So it's something that you could do. You can audit your LinkedIn profile and make sure that it includes all important information. So if somebody reads your LinkedIn profile, they will know what problems you're going to help him or her solve and what kind of skills you have, because it's in a way it's a business card. It's a short version of your CV. So start with yourself in order to be able to support your candidates, your students on the labor market. And when we prepare a development plan, we need to set it within a certain time frame. We need to follow steps and strategies, and we need to consistently implement it. Otherwise, we'll not have the effects that we desire. And if we create a plan, we can make a conscious and consistent development of personal brand. Today, I would like to focus on one of the areas which are digital competencies, which are the subject of today. In the area of personal branding, we as consultants, taking into account our competencies, not just digital competencies, we need to think and respond and ask ourselves the questions, are our competencies adequate? And how do we stand out when compared to other advisors, other consultants? I made an analysis and I used a circle with 8 areas which make me a competent career advisor. And here I focused on knowledge and career advisory tools, and this is knowledge of tests and different tools that are used to measure competencies to support my candidates on the labor market, but also coaching competencies, active listening, asking open questions, because these are certain characteristics that can be used in our daily work. The third area that I indicated was expert knowledge in a given specialization. We do not need to be experts in everything. We can specialize in a given sector, in a given area, and that's a way to contact our target group. The fourth area, which I listed, is ability to build and maintain relationships. In my work, it's crucial to take care about my candidates, my clients, and it goes beyond providing them with a CV. I want to give them support because it increases their self-confidence during interviews, and my candidates know that they can rely on me. And very often we are there to motivate and mobilize our candidates. Sometimes a person is missing or is lacking motivation to do something about their life, about their career. Item 5 is attention to detail. We want to make sure that the documents that we create are perfect. It's also part of personal branding. We need to avoid spelling mistakes or formatting mistakes. We need to make a coherent picture, and because we need to be aware that people will pay attention to detail. And area number 6 that I mentioned as a general consultant's competence is good knowledge of IT tools, but also knowledge of tools to position our customers. And 8 is keeping track of trends and changes on the labor market. We want candidates to find us by recommendations, even though now the whole world is online. So, look, out of the nearly nine areas that I listed as competencies of a career advisors, 3 relate to digital competencies, like good knowledge of IT tools or knowledge of tools to position your client, or tracking trends and changes on the labor market. So that starts with a simple text editor whichever we are using, we need to know such tools. We need to know how to work with documents. Because we work with text editors. Another example is GIMP, which probably not all of you know. If we want to be competitive compared to other career advisors on the market, we need to follow the changes, technological changes, because we know certain new applications appear, new tools appear, which can make our work easier. GIMP is an exciting, a great graphic editor we can use to prepare a candidate's picture to be used on in their CV. We do not use a photographer. It's a very intuitive tool. I frequently use this tool to, for instance, to remove color from a profile picture. For instance, from their tie, from their shirt, and actually sometimes I copy the color from the picture and apply it as background on the document, so that we create a more coherent document, so we can use a color tracker to make a personalized document.
Another great tool, which is probably more popular, is Canva. And I use Canva to build headers both on CV and as background on LinkedIn. This is a very intuitive tool, and you can use a free version. You do not need a premium version in order to design the header on your CV if you make it from scratch, or you can also make sure that you have a consistent branding on your LinkedIn. So it's good to design your background in Canva, because it just reads the colors and you can use it with one click. So you do not need to be a graphic designer to use these tools. And I strongly encourage you to use them and use the technology, because to younger people it's quite natural. So my daughter uses Canva to make presentations for her school projects, and I'm really surprised how she learns the new functionalities it offers. We need to learn it, and young generations just have it, and we need just to catch up with them, because we are, as career advisors, need to support those people. Also Zoom, Google Meet, Teams and other communication tools, they are just so basic, but so many interviews are held online today. And there is a great difference between going to a face-to-face interview and having it online. So these are just small details, but very important ones. And for 3 years I have worked online, and I need to make my clients aware that during a meeting they should wear headphones, but they shouldn't sit against a wall because the face is not visible. So these quite simple tips, technical tips that you can give as career advisor will be useful for our clients. And we need to make them sensitive to it, and we need to give an example to them. So you need to be familiar with these tools. And in the recruitment process, even when I talk to you during the lunch break, for example, a friend of mine had a 6-stage recruitment process, and at one of the stages she had to make a presentation and make it online. So she had to know how to share a screen, and if you do not know, if you do not have these skills, how can you help other people? So whether you like it or not, the digital is the future. So you're going to just catch up with it. Another tool or platform that you can use is LinkedIn. and its popularity is growing. This presentation will be shared, so this personal branding model and the links that are embedded in the presentations, you can leave them, you can use them, and you can audit your profiles on LinkedIn and verify the tagline under your profile, what is in about, whether it focuses on the information that tells people who you are, what services you offer, what problems you can solve. So maybe you can try to put yourself in the shoes of your clients, yes? So you just Google your name, and if I were a headhunter, what job I would offer to myself? Because the way people see us, they just work with us. And sometimes basic information is missing on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn offers several opportunities, both for our clients and us as professionals, to stand out. So not only the profile, how you organize it is important, but you also need to click because there are preferences for those who are looking for work, and you can use a functionality in which you just list the services you offer, be it CV, interview, or development plan. So you can make it visible on the platform and to advertise your skills. So here you can see a link to a step-by-step guide how to make a very professional profile on LinkedIn and how to edit our link to make it personalized, because LinkedIn automatically adds some digits, but you can edit it in order to make sure that your link is professional and just includes only your name, not some digits. And this is a great way to look for a job, because a great number of job offers are posted on LinkedIn, and you need to know how to choose alerts and how to use the platform in order to remind us and to send us information that new offer is available online in a given sector of your interest. So this is one thing. Another thing, we as experts, if you want to be visible, if you want to be seen on the platform, you need to remember that this is an algorithm, this is artificial intelligence, and what I have done for 2 years is to follow a LinkedIn algorithm. So to your right, you can see a screen from the latest report on a LinkedIn algorithm, which tells you about the activity, about the hashtags you should add. Because in the past you just needed popular hashtags. Now it is worth to mix popular hashtags with niche ones. It also tells us when to post, on what days, how long your posts should be. So if you want to build your branding online and be active on the platform, you need to know how to manage it and how to manage your visibility. So if you do not care about the basics, you will not reach your target group efficiently, and you will not build your expert branding. So I'm just waiting for the update of the report, because it is usually published sometime around May. So I believe before holiday we should see the report, experts report. So when you want to help other people, you need to have the knowledge that you can share. CVATS, it is also the question of digital competences. The world has changed so much that both big companies and boutique ones use the system. So they are using applicant tracking system. And if you have students or clients, candidates who want to join large corporations, they need to be aware that their basic CV that was useful in the past is no longer efficient. So here is a guide how to hack ATS, obviously not in the original sense of the word, but how to know how to use it and how to improve your client's chances for having for winning an interview, for landing an interview. So what is important, you need to have two documents, one for a human being, with a photo and nice colors that it will stand out, but can be printed. But ATSs cannot read CVs which are written into columns, and this small detail may prevent the bot from reading the contents of your CV. So ATS and bots are not sensitive to errors or linguistic mistakes. Obviously, they work in English, and maybe soon we will have such a tool in Polish. Obviously, this is a big challenge because our language is quite sophisticated. You have different cases in Polish, and English is much simpler. Its grammar is much more straightforward. But what is important is formatting. It must be very standard, no color, no tables, even the format of dates or telephone number. These basic elements, if you don't care for them, someone will not be able to contact you. And I'm sorry to say that candidates send hundreds of CV and have no response, and they are frustrated because they have put so much effort, they spend so much time to fill in the forms. So if you fill in the forms and you are stuck in the system, in the waiting room, and you have just a basic answer that your application has been opened, it will bring you no success. So this is a digital competence that you need to take care of. And I can see many situations that clients have great CVs that they have prepared with someone else, but they didn't tell them anything about ATS, and they didn't differentiate between the two formats, and they were not aware why they were not successful, and then they just feel a failure because their CVs are not accepted. So this competence is a key in helping the clients and entering the labor market. So it is good to test it on yours. So I have sent my CV just to test it. And another thing is, I haven't presented it on slides, but you have also scanners, job scanner, jobscan.co, where you can upload your CV in English, and once you scan it, you will find a match. When you want to apply for a given job, you match your CV with an offer. So I have just sent my CV and compared it with a specific job offer. And if I added the phrases from the job offer to my CV, the match was more and more efficient, much greater. And it was just an editing question, because I haven't lied in my CV. I just used the exact wording as in the job offer. So it is really worth testing, because you will get new knowledge that you can share with your clients. So I strongly encourage you to do so. And it is not so that all consultants are the same, because it is all up to your offer. So anything I have said today also relates to you. So I have presented to you my competence profile, but on this on this diagram, you can include different competences, and maybe you will not need so many tools, but if you specialize in CV making, you just make a list of tools, you just conduct research and verify the tools that really affect the quality of your work. So I'm not saying that you need to test all the apps, but once you analyze your offer and your focus, your target group, be it students or other clients or candidates for job, or maybe the people who are savvy and experienced on the labor market, so you will need different digital competences to work with them. So this is why it is worth to make this analysis. So I strongly encourage you to draw your diagram, to list your competences, list the main 8 areas of competence. Don't forget about digital competence, and just rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, and just try to realize what are your strengths today, and where is the room for improvement, and what you can do to obtain up-to-date technological knowledge, and the competences you have, and the 8 areas for development you list. You also need to include them on your personal branding model. And once you go through it, you will be in a different place as experts in the labor market. So, this is how you should analyze your own profile. Well, I didn't think that I will be so fast, so maybe you have some questions for my presentation and for the model I have presented, or maybe some questions concerning the competences or tools I have presented. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. So I have a question that is usually asked by my students. Should you have a photo attached to your CV or not? Well, we live in Poland and we are talking about here and now. The majority of CVs we prepare include photos, but there is no clear answer. This is just an individual choice, but a CV with photo stands out because you see a face, so you know a face. Well, it is advisable that have a photo that is up to date, because I have received a photo of a person from 15 years ago, and I thought it was a student, and in fact he was an experienced manager. So I just hint him that maybe it is worth including a recent photo, because an interviewer may be surprised if they see a different person, a different face than the one on the CV. So maybe the headers in CV should be in the color of something that is on the photo, because it looks very nice, and it's personalized, it's unique. Bot will not pay attention to it, but if it reaches a headhunter and catches his or her eye, because you're not looking for a job based on job advertisements, there are all other channels. So a CV which is addressed to people are more user-friendly. For example, in Great Britain, you cannot add a photo to your CV, because you do not choose a candidate because you are looking for a man or a woman with bright hair or dark skin or of different ethnic origin. So this is why it is prohibited to add photos to CV, just to make sure that no bias is taken into consideration, but you focus just on the competences. But in Poland, photos are quite popular. Are there any other questions? Well, I have more of a comment than a question. When I look at my students, and when you talk about the consistent image, online image, they already have it. They know how to do it. Oh, well, let me put it differently. TikTok, Instagram, etc. Do you pay attention to it? Because they use it as an image building tool, and it is they are usually this image is consistent, and how they concentrate and pay attention to it. And to me, as someone who is a bit older, I can see that they really make big efforts to make the image consistent. So does it play a role, and do headhunters look at these apps or not? Well, it does happen in this way. Well, it is not officially said, but if you are to meet someone, you Google them after the meeting or before the meeting. Yes, before. So if you like it or not, there is some impression, yeah? I'm not familiar with TikTok, but I have a very private Instagram, and I just upload photos from my travels, and only my network of people can see my photos, so my clients cannot see those photos. And if you Google me, you will not see Instagram. So this is the question of your management of your social media. So this exercise we have done at the beginning. Well, you probably cannot do it with your phone, but when you have an incognito search online, then you will have quite different results. And then when someone who doesn't know you, be it a student, they will see quite different things. And then you are looking for photos from a family party or some other event. Maybe you do not want students or friends see me partying, maybe having some alcohol. So this is the question of tool management. But even the LinkedIn, when you have your well-developed profile, people usually make this mistake, but you have a great profile, very well defined, but you need just one click to make sure that it is visible to people from outside your network. So, for example, my contact networks is visible only to me, but it's not visible to other people, because I'm trying to protect some data, personal data. So, I believe 2 years ago, I saw a photo from Nasza Klasa portal, our class, so a predecessor of Facebook, yeah, Polish predecessor. So, but I worked for a modeling agency in Rzeszów, so I wouldn't like people to see it now. So maybe, yes, it's great, but they can use the tools, but they need to pay attention to what is visible to people from the outside. Even the groups you attend, there are so many groups on Facebook, and there are so many communities. But, for example, you can be an expert in headhunting, but you can be a fan of cooking or gardening, and then you need to decide whether you want other people to know about it, but you have such interests. So clients often say, But yeah, I'm in this group, yes, but you can block it, this information, and your employers do not need to know about it. Because whatever you post on a timeline of a given group can be visible to other people. So once you are present online, you need to manage the access and I don't know, maybe ask your friend who is not on Facebook or TikTok what they see when they enter your name. Do you have any other questions? Because we have very little time. If you have any other questions, so I'm staying here for longer, so you can talk to me during the break. So I strongly encourage you to read this presentation again and test these tools on your own and to work successfully with young people.